Hello and welcome to the final day of coverage for this year's Kentucky Downs meet from In the Money Media. PTF and JK back with you on the multi-award winning podcast, the In the Money Players podcast, and on the wildly popular YouTube channel, In the Money Media. If you're watching on YouTube, please do us a favor and go ahead and subscribe. You can also subscribe to the pod wherever you get your pods. We also have one very easy way that will link you to all of our Kentucky Downs content. Sign up for our free email, inthemoneypodcast.com/Michael Domable, doing a fantastic job, as is Will Humphrey, providing great free content of the meet, going much more in depth than we have time to do in this short video/show. JK, we've reached the end of this year's Kentucky Downs meet. I'm wanting more. I found it to be more formful than usual. I feel like we've been able to identify some of these long shots. I mean, it's hard work, don't get me wrong, from an analyst point of view, but it's been terrific, and I'm going to miss it.
Well, I think for a while, what happened, why it was, quote, unformful or out of form, whatever. You're the New York Times best-selling author, so you let me know how to say that the right way. But I think what happened is that they were dangling a lot of money, and there was people that came and took advantage of that while others weren't fully ready for it or fully understanding how to attack it. Now, because that money has been established for so long, I think that connections, ownership, they better identified what it takes and why it's important. And that to me led to more form, making a little bit more sense.
I think that seems logical. Also, the weather probably hasn't hurt things. It's been temperate. Some big weather potentially bad guys have dodged it. But yeah, to your point about the money on offer, that is a large part due to our sponsors for the show, our friends over at the KTDF, Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund, who've made Kentucky this year-round racing circuit, hoping to continue. Well, we know we're working with Churchill. We got a lot of content coming up for Churchill Downs. Production meeting in the middle of the show. Let me know if you want to do a Churchill show for this weekend, maybe for Saturday. We'll talk about that because they're coming right down the pike. Good deal. And then, yeah, hopefully even beyond that, we'll be getting to do it. Let's dive in, though, and talk about one thing at a time. Let's talk about this Kentucky Downs late pick 5. We kick off with these 2-year-old maiden special weights going a mile on this galloping course, not something every 2-year-old can do. What numbers will be on your tickets?
I really, it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's Kentucky Downs or wherever, I really appreciate a first leg single, because I think that it opens the opportunity for you. You can always come back, whether it's a pick 6 or a pick 5, you can always come back.
Yep.
And what I don't like happening is spreading in the first leg. And
right, because then why even bother, right? I mean, it's like if you're going to spread, just the pick 5 and you're going to spread in the first leg, why not just wait and just play the pick 4 more aggressively?
Yeah, you're spreading because you don't have an opinion. Right. So anyways, for me, my first leg single will be the 4 full effort. It's a horse that took money in both spots, a horse that ran well enough in both spots, a horse that has some experience. You're trained by the right guy. You're ridden by the right guy. There's a lot of things about this horse that makes me feel like in this third start, he's going to get over the hump. Now, what I can't predict is whether or not this Shadwell horse for Brendan Walsh is a monster. I don't know. Or the Winchell horse for Asmussen has been pointed to this meet. Or the Doug O'Neill is a monster. The Rusty Arnold, the Michael McCarthy. These are things I'm never going to have the answers to. But what I do know is that the 4 can run a little bit.
Yep.
And so why not take the advantage that I know this horse is going to have from stamina standpoint, single him in the first leg. And if I'm wrong, I can come back in the pick 4.
Yeah, 4 full effort is in my picks as well. I actually had second for whatever reason, but closed into blue fractions. You watch that tape, there was a ton of trouble. Horse just makes sense. There's another horse, though, with experience that I wanted in an ideal world on tickets. That's the 10 Epic Horse I wrote the name down as Epic Horse Player. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. It's Epic Horsepower. This is the problem if you stick too closely to your notes. Epic Horsepower. Though Epic Horse Player is not a bad name for a horse. Anybody out there watching can have that one. This horse ran well on the debut, and I just thought gave the impression of one looking like the extra stamina required for this more galloping mile would be to his liking. 10-4 for me. 4, stone cold for JK. We talked about the pick 4. Let's move on to it. It starts off with a second level allowance / optional claimer going 7 furlongs. I put Aspenite, the 11, on top here. I thought this could be an interesting long shot. Steve Asmussen been very unlucky at this meet. Horses have been firing, but not a ton of wins. Has that race over the course that we've described in many of these shows as being beneficial. Had a little trip, has some back numbers. I liked Aspenite. The 9, Pancake House, another I wanted to mention. I thought quickened well last time off a fast pace. That might be the exact situation once again here. And I thought the condition arrow for that one might be pointed up in the third race off the bench. And the third one I'll mention is the 12, Axthelm. Quite simply has back races. And I thought that was a very tricky go of things around Kentucky Downs the other day. 11, 9, and 12. I'm leaning towards the outside here, JK. Where are you?
I went 5 deep and didn't use your horse, so I guess we have a big problem here.
That kind of race.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Dominican Pioneer, the 2, just feels like one for Jose D'Angelo, who could take another step forward. The horse has been training down at Palm Meadows. He shipped them up here. It's not easy. It's not an easy ship, not a cheap ship. The 3, Pentathlon, worked 3 times on the turf. One of those kind of horses that's always been a little bit disappointing, but he's shown some real effort on the dirt. And anytime you have some of that Phipps pedigree, you'd like to think deep down in there, the answer could be turf. I'll use the 6, switching to Rusty Arnold for a horse that ran a couple times really well for Todd Pletcher. The 8 is an obvious for Mike Maker, and the 9, Pancake House. There's a Pancake House in Chicago I went to one time.
Any good?
And they had these sausage things wrapped in a pancake that you would dip them in syrup. And I knew I had lunch later that afternoon with Craig Bernick. But I took a bite of it just to say I was going to have one of them. And it was so good that I ate 3 of them. Then I had to take an hour-long Uber ride to meet Craig, and we had this massive Italian lunch. And then I had to Uber back to the city, and it was one of the worst Ubers back I've ever had. I felt I was so full.
Wildly uncomfortable. Chicago will do that to you, and it's not just that casserole that they call a pizza that will fill your belly. Apparently, you can get overstuffed at the Pancake House. Maybe that one will win as a little hunch play for you and me and Joe Sharp. Yeah, it's a tricky, trappy little race, which is why we throw so many up there. And hopefully one of them will win for us. Let's move on to race number 9, where we get to the hinge of this late pick 5. This is a moneyed allowance, and JK, we'll keep it with you. Hopefully there's another dining connection.
3, 5, 7, 8, 9 for me. I'm going to spread here as well, but there's a couple that I want to talk about. The 5, General Partner, who has always been very talented on the dirt. He ran poorly last time, but he's always had some pretty big races. His maiden race was one of the most impressive. He ran well enough in the Champagne. He didn't run that great in the Juvenile, but then he came back and has run some other big numbers. And the fact that Chad is making the decision to move this horse to the grass, he's not a huge Kentucky Downs got to be there guy. I'm not even certain that Chad I don't think he ever really feels like I have to be there. He does get some horses there from time to time, and I just feel like the fact that General Partner shows up here, I think it's very interesting. The horse worked on the grass August 3rd, so at least Chad has some sort of a visual on the fact of whether or not he'll handle it. So I want to make sure I have him. And then Army Officer is one that I've always kind of been chasing for our friends at Qatar Racing. And one that I thought ran extremely well last time, lifetime best last time as well, and is one that I think could move up quite a bit. So I'm going to spread in there 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. The 5 and the 9 would be kind of my top picks, but I'm going to use them all equally. It's a spready type of race.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, though. I was tighter. I did use 2 of the ones that you talked about, but the one that I'll put on top is one that was in your numbers, but you didn't give a spiel on. The 8, Green Light. Just thought that was a very difficult trip on the prep day. The time of that race came back okay, and the horse looks to have worked well since. I'm hoping Green Light could be one that might be able to get the job done at what should be a square price. The morning lines have come in on this one, 8-1 on the morning line from Nick Tamaro there. Number 9, Army Officer, who you mentioned. I'm with you on that one. improving type, looks to have continued to work well since the last. And as Nick and I always joke, when a Qatar racing horse comes up, if you're not on the show and we say, well, since JK is not here, we're obligated to pick the Qatar racing horse. I'm very much with Army Officer in this spot. Let's move to the stakes race on the card, where we've got the Dueling Grounds Oaks Invitational Grade 3 action. I don't think anyone will disagree with the following statement. Brad Cox holds a strong hand. Are you with the Cox runners, or are you going in a different direction here?
I'm with a Cox runner, which is I swear I used to thought it was Finn, even though it's spelt that way. But then, like, I heard Frank Miramati, who I know takes it seriously. I thought he calls him Fion.
Fion, I think he said, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's Irish, I think.
It is definitely Irish.
I'll ask someone who's Irish how you say it. Anyways, I like the 7. I think it's a horse that's a little bit singleable. If you beat Nitrogen at anything, then damn it, you got my attention. But I still believe, and I've been chasing this horse, and she's been running well. I still believe that July 28th was the best maiden 2-year-old race back in 2024 for 2-year-olds. And Raining Flowers won that race, and she's good. She beat Good Long Cry. She beat the other horse, Catch or whatever it is, Catches Can or Ask It, whatever. And then she also beat Opulent Restraint, who came back to win some big races. And then Raining Flowers, who I thought ran outstanding in the Lake George, and then also ran well in all of her races basically this year. Getting this added distance is one that she could really kind of pop back up. Maybe this is what she's always wanted to do. I'm going to use both of those horses, and I'll use them equally because I think that Raining Flowers is going to offer so much value. Yeah. But I'm fine just using the 7, right there with her.
Will be a big price, that's for sure. So that idea makes sense. As Catch Can, the filly you were thinking of for Augustin Stables, and I'm not going to leave all the name dropping to you. My old Saratoga roommate, Jonathan Thomas, calling the shots on that one. So we're a little different in here. I mean, I have Fion in the mix, class of the race, grade 1 winner. Last 2 races have been very productive, good run backs. My only slight knock is that the horse could go very short and has had some excellent setups. And, Kentucky Downs, stranger things can happen. I want Destino Doro, the other Cox runner, with the thought that she might even have more upside than anyone in this field, raced just 4 times. I love the one with a variety of running styles thing, and was thinking maybe you could upgrade a little based on the fast pace last time. And then I have a goofy one. This is one of these more for verticals, could throw in a contest. But the 8 Admit just has an angle that I love, and I will almost bet blindly. When they get to turf and they run a figure much better than what they've been doing, they will often improve again in the second time over that surface. It's a stab, admittedly, with Admit, but I wanted some 8s on my tickets as well. Let's get to the race that will pay off all the late picks on this Kentucky Downs card. We've got maiden special weights, 3 and up. We're going a mile. JK, how are we going to get paid?
I need 2 horses here. They come from the same race. The race that was run on August 28th. Figure came back fast for that race at Kentucky Downs. I'm going to use the 4, who I think is the best of the speed, and the 11, Swirling 8, who's the best of the closers. If they go too slow, I'm good with the 4. If they go too fast, I'm good with the 11. I love races like this where I can just use 2 that have styles that no matter how the race is run, one of them will be in a good spot. That's all I need for me is the 4 and the 11.
I like that way of looking at horizontal bets where you think about different pace scenarios and how they might play out, and you try to have it covered each way. I think there's a way to get a little bit of an edge there. And I too have the 4 and the 11 in my tickets here. That was a strangely run race too, where they went so slow early. It obviously compromised the 11 Swirling 8s, but I think in a funny way, it might have compromised Western Run as well. It might be one of these things where when you're a speed horse, you want to use a little bit more of that speed. I feel like it, rather than using speed to get others on the stretch, Western Run used the speed to get in a good position, but then was just out quick into the wire. So I think there are cases for the 4 and the 11, but my top pick in the race is the number 9 Langdon. You made a point earlier about Chad, and sending a horse here with intent. I think Langdon looks like one that was shipped here with intent for Shug McGahee. Solid debut, then obviously had some kind of setback. The plan wasn't from then on, wait till Kentucky Downs. But at some point along the way, when this horse was getting back, I think this spot might have been picked out and has been working steadily for this. Seems like a smart McGahee move. I think the horse will be under the radar. Give me the 9 along with the 4 and the 11 to close things out at Kentucky Downs, not just for this Wednesday card, but for the season, unbelievably. But before we leave Kentucky Downs for the year, JK, do want to talk to you about our bet of the day. If I could ask you to pick just one horse on this Kentucky Downs card, which way would you go?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the pick 5 as a whole, right? I mean, I think that race 7, the ability that I believe that you have in singling a horse like the 4 full effort, it sets you up to be able to cover what you need the rest of the way. It also can keep your ticket into a manageable space as well. So if you're planning on betting whatever it might be, let's call it $200, you can spend 100-ish on this early part of the, playing the pick 5, singling full effort, and then for whatever reason, if that goes wrong, you can come right back with 100 to play the pick 4. I think that my bet of the day is the 4 full effort as that first leg of a pick 5.
And if you're watching this as a social clip and you want to see the whole video, go over to the In the Money Media YouTube channel and you can hear our thoughts on all 5 of these races. You went to the first leg. I'll go to the last leg. I think the 9 Langdon is going to offer some value. Shipped here with intent, it looks like to me, for Shug McGahee, who has plenty of success around these parts. I'm very interested to see if we can get Langdon home to close things out. All right, JK, that does it for this show. We'll be back with much more content on Kentucky racing even sooner rather than later. Also, make sure you check out all the great stuff we have planned for our friends up at Woodbine this weekend. Maybe we'll pull you in for that too. We'll do that production meeting outside the show. For JK, I'm PTF. Thanks so much to our sponsors at Kentucky Downs and the KTDF. And may you win all your photos.